2IDX. This is JE0CPW. I'm already in there. I'm just testing my radio and making sure this hotspot works. So I'll be on that here shortly with you guys. Thank you for inviting me. JE0CPW, listening. Certainly, Joe. Oh, I see you in there, so. Alrighty. We're gonna go back and get ready. See you guys in the field, KV2IDX. Lucky you sound good. Alright, this is W0SUN. Bucky, usually in Colorado, but right now I'm outside in southern Utah. I had a desk set up outside the camper trailer. So, it's going to be exciting here. For me anyway. Let's do this. I'm going to, yeah, hang on a second. Let me, reset here. Okay. Again, this is W0SUN, currently on vacation, except, of course, when we're doing the nets. Gotta do the nets. I always have fun doing that. Yep, from southern Utah, and I'm coming to you through an FT70D with a little high headset, and my FT70D is communicating through a FT3D, which is a small wires X node. So that's how I'm getting in today. This headset is kind of nice. I'm going to list all the check-ins we have right now on. We have 22 check-ins on ham.live. Join us on ham.live, which is our chat room. And I do have 2 laptops with me, believe it or not. So things are pretty good. I usually have like at least 4 screens, but I got 2 screens. And let me read the check-ins, and then I'll take some over-the-air check-ins. So get ready, Chris, KB2IDX, so you can log. But let me just read what we've got, and then I'll take over-the-air check-ins. All right, here we go. Kilo Bravo 8 Echo Mike Delta. Okay, let's get Kilo Bravo 8, Echo Mike Delta. Larry, we got you checked in. And so far, we've got myself, Chris, KB2IDX, W1VKW, KF0OTF, KF0IGK, VK2MFW, AE0, November Victor, K0GIO, N3PAY, WD0CIB, N2BEZ, W0KVZ, AC0XW, W5STC, WX4 Charlie, KE0TPW, WD0HTR, AE0NO, KD9YOO, KC1OAB, NT6DX, N9DYO, KF0USF, let me reset. Okay, I added Dave, W9DJM. Oh, by the way, Dave, I saw you check into the Utah net. I recorded you as an in and out. I was busy typing at the time. So I got you, W9DJM. I did another net earlier. Larry, of course I got you, KB8EMD, W7FMJ. Jared, I got you. And, let's see. I got KO6DUT. Alright, let me see if we can get some over-the-air check-ins. So let's go ahead and take some check-ins over the air. And Chris, if you can log, that'd be great. Check-ins over the air. Please come now with your call sign. Victor Kilo 3, Echo Alpha November. Okay. I've got Victor Kilo 3, Echo Alpha November. Erwin, I got your email, but I've been traveling and spending some time with family, but I can get back with you here in just a bit. We also recorded Kilo November 4, Foxtrot Michael. We got you as well. Let's see who else. We've got Kilo 5 RUN. And Kilo Charlie 1, Romeo Alpha Yankee. Any other over-the-air check-ins? Anybody want to check in over the air? Please come now with your call sign. Okay, I saw somebody entering the top group, and I'm just going to go ahead and get you checked in. I got 89YPG. I saw you, Josh. You just jumped in here, so we got you on the Colorado HD roster on ham.live, ham.live. All right, Bucky W0SUN here. Let's pass it over to KB2IDX, and you can take it from here for a little bit. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Colorado Hotspot discussion. I'm Chris, KB2IDX. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana. Almost in Arizona. Ooh. The sheriff, I wouldn't mind being there. There's Bucky over there. Code control. W0SUN. Littleton, Colorado. We're here every week. Same time, same place. 1900 hours Mountain Time, Colorado HD. Talk about issues related to digital ham radios and answer questions, comments, and listen to your experiences and relate We do check in here online on ham.live, but as you noticed, we will also take some over here. We'll do that again later on during the night. If you have any issues with ham.live, your first option is to click on the support on the main page and then ask one of us. You can also view our net, without ham radio license, on the Brainmeister hose line. And I think that's here tonight, so I will be posting this link momentarily. Also on KFWOWB.net, and that will get you a link to the YouTube page. The chat room we have here is very useful and even entertaining at times. We can put pictures and links in there, so that's one good reason to make sure you're in here. Let me reset. There we go. I pasted those links into the chat room. And please make sure you check out ColoradoDigital.net. That's our home webpage. Lots of resources and info. And should you feel generous, there's a place to make a donation as well. This system is not free to operate, but it's a lot of fun to use. And I hang out here a lot and I enjoy it. So if you feel it, go ahead. Okay. Before we proceed, is there anyone that has any announcements that may be of interest to the group? Here's your opportunity to come forward. KB2 IDX. All right. Very good. Well, bunch of people just joined us, so let me do that real quick. TD0OSM, Brad. TD0SSB, KA1CNF, W6CET, W9EGL, and W4KSK. That brings us up to 38 people. And I do have an announcement or two of my own, just normal stuff. WPSD, if you are a user, has just brought out the operating system upgrade called Trixie. And pretty smooth changeover. The news right now is you don't have to change if you don't want to. But if you need help, I will be glad to help anybody. It's not difficult. They have been making more improvements on it as we go, and it's good to pay attention to that change log. And it shows sometimes more than you want, but it's handy. And that's the WPSD I have. Bucky, I'm going to send it back to you here. Is there anything that we need to make announcements on that I forgot? Over to you, Bucky. AB2IDX. Yes, there is. Let me see if I can hold this button down. The mic from Shark RF, the M1KE, that's it. they just came out with a beta update, which is really cool. Let's see if I can find this here. Okay, so they just came out for the mic. They just added echo link support. So now they have all the digital modes. They added All-Star, and now they added echo link. So you can now, which isn't a huge deal, I guess, but it kind of is. It's kind of cool that you can just have your mic and then get on echo link. There's quite a few things you can do there. And I'm going to post the firmware changelog, but it's version 38 beta. Version 38 beta added echo link support. So I'll post that. It's pretty cool. Back to you, W0SUN. Yeah, I updated it as soon as it would let me. And I mentioned that to you earlier. Every time I tried to put one in, it kept asking me for a username and password. But I couldn't find any place to put that in. So if anyone else has had experience with that, let me know. And two more folks just joined us. KD0D and AC1MT. That brings us up to 40. And Bucky has put the change log in there for the M1K. Is that the beta change log? Because they have the regular one and the beta change log in there. Back to you, Bucky. See if you've got anything else. Yeah, I think we missed a bunch of users that checked in. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. I know we got W7FMJ, K06DUT, KN4FM, BK3EAN, K5RUN, KC1RAY, KD9YPG, KB0LSM, W0SSB, KA1CNF, W6CEP, W9EGL, W4KSK, and then we got KD0D and AC1MT. Alright, thanks a lot for everybody for jumping in to the net today. 40 check-ins so far. Alright, let's see if I got anything else. I am going to open it up for any questions or comments. And Erwin, I got a question from you on email, but I don't know if you want to bring that up. Any questions or comments for the net, please come down with your call sign. And then in JS, check it out. Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't have my usual stuff here. I can usually look at my, all my, hotspots that I have online, but I'm not at my location right now. But, and Chris just typed this, and this is always good. There's a command that you can type in the SSH window. And rather than me tell you, Chris, I'm going to pass it over to you. QB2IDX, over to you. Thank you, Bucky. Yeah, well, first of all, or when you have to find out what modem you have, and you have to SSH into your modem, and there is a command, sudo wpsd-detect modem. And it'll take a few seconds once you type that in, and then it'll pump out something which is going to tell you what modem you have. And then you go back to your configuration page and you find the one closest to that that matches it on the drop-down list. So I suppose I would ask you if you know how to SSH into your modem. Or over you, Erwin. 82IDX. Actually, with W0SU, and here's how to do it. Put in project star, and then the password raspberry. I always use SSH, and because I like to update back in files of the system, because I find doesn't matter whether you use PyStar or WPSD, you need to stabilize the system, and that's what it actually does. I don't know why they don't just put it in as a full download, and then it's updated from there for what it is. But anyway, so do you know the commands, certain commands find modem? It is what is it, sudo find PSD something find modem? Because if you want to find those commands, you just, in the front page, you just put WPSD, then hyphen, which is a minus sign, and then a tab key twice on your PC, and it brings up those commands. And that's great to know. But I mean, I don't know if the modem, if you put in a certain radio modem on your system, does it mess things up there totally? That you cannot detect what the original modem was when you purchased the MMTVM hat, and that's what one needs to know, because you might have done that. So over to you, KB2RDX, VK3EAN. Well, sometimes when you buy that, it'll tell you which one to set it at, but they all say, because they were done years ago, STM32, which has been removed. And the reason they removed it, coincidentally, was so that you could have a more accurate driver for your modem. Because that's what those are. Those are drivers. And chances are, most of them are going to say MMDVM hat, and there's one of those on there. If it's a duplex, it might say dual hat, but don't confuse the ones that say dual band with a dual hat. Dual hat is duplex. But it's not going to hurt anything. It might act funny, but just get the one that closest resembles. Now, if you are using PyStar instead of WPSD, you take out the word WPSD and just put sudo the text modem in there. And that will tell you which one it is. And like I said, it's probably going to be an MMDVN hat. HF hat. Now, if you buy SubSpot, there are SubSpot drivers. There's Lone Star drivers, that's what they did. They wanted to have more individual drivers so that they would drive them more accurately. Anyway, I hope that helps, Erwin. Back to you, KV2IDX. So, that is fine, but when you actually put in the radio modem on your configuration page, it's slightly different because you've got many options. You've got MMDV. Sorry, I was on the wrong thing here. Yeah, no, that's great. When you do the configuration page, it's slightly different. So, you won't just have the base, the MMDVM HS hat. You'll have MMDVM /F4M. You'll have generic. Then you've got the D0 something, whatever MMDVM. And then at the bottom of that page, you've got, the generic. So it's quite confusing, but I just went by which one, just trying them, seeing which one is the correct one. Then you've got RB STM32, which I don't know what that is. It's very confusing. Back to you, KV2IDX and the group VK3EAN. Well, you're right. It can be. But in the end, you're going to probably do what I did way back when and just try one and see if it worked. It was close. The clock speed, 14.7675, I can't remember what it is important, but most of the new ones are going to be that. The old ones were like 12 megahertz. But, I guess, get the closest one to what it told you. And if it's not from a private vendor, don't use one of them. That's the best thing I can tell you, Erwin. I hope that helps. Back to you, and then we'll get back to Bucky, KV2IDX. Yes, in the grid VK3EAN. That's what I've done. So I've used the F4M, stroke 4 mic, because I've noticed the audio is a lot crisper and a lot clearer. So I just thought I'd bring that out for others to identify and to find out, because the generic, even though it's good and it picks up very fast, the call groups, etc., the audio is slightly muffled. It's not great. So that's why I was tinkering around to see what really suits. But thank you for that, and over to Bucky there, and Bucky, you can just remind me what else I requested on that email. I cannot remember. There's so many things. But that's great. Thanks for a wonderful net once again, VK3EAN. Okay. Thank you, Erwin. And we just put some good stuff in there in the chat room. There's a spot on the WPSD website, WC0CHP.radio, about that whole thing. So check out his website and the facts and the how-to section. That could help you. Alrighty, we're going to send it back to you, Bucky. W0SUN, KV2RDX. Alright, excellent. Yeah, good question there, Erwin. So basically, just to summarize, there no longer is a selection for the generic modem type. And what are we talking about modem type? When you have a hotspot with the MMDVM board, you have to select the driver. And that's when we talk about the modem type, we're talking about the interface driver to the digital voice modem or the MMDVM. So that's what we're talking about. It's in the configuration, and there was a generic one called STM, Sierra Tango Mike, STM32 DVM. So it's no longer there. So what, and why is it, and then we're talking about the WPSD by Chip. And so why is it no longer there? It's been removed, and there is an article that Chip wrote, and I put the webpage to the article. And the article is, there is no such modem. That's the name of the article. If you go to w0chp.radio and then click on the articles page and scroll down, you'll see that article. It's kind of a cool, there is no such modem article. So he says, oh yeah, I removed that because, you know what, that was just a placeholder. So, and just like Chris said, to find out the modem, there is a command line that you can do. And let me reset. Yeah, so it is, you go in, and it's actually right from the PyStar page. You go into that page, you go to advanced options, find out that page, and then there is a command line where you can do a command line and get the whole list of, you're actually asking what type of modem do I have. So you type sudo, which is a shortcut for super user. That's what I call it, super user. And so you call super user do, or sudo we call it, WPSD-detect modem. And that's the command. Once you type that in, it gives you a whole list of modems. That's how you find out the correct modem, if you type that command. Kind of fun. Jumping in there like that, doing those command lines and things like that. So it's kind of nice. Alright, so Erwin, you sent me an email asking me a question on color codes. Do you remember that? I'm going to go back to you. VK3EAN. Full of food. Sorry about that once again. Yeah. I went back to color code 1, but I was tinkering around with the color codes because when you configure your either PyStar or if you're using WPSD, it's all generic on color code 1. I did find out some information in the interim that I think color code 3 is for repeaters or something like that. But color codes I think is like a PL tone. In like if you compare it to the normal analog world of a CT CSS thing. So I thought, well, that's interesting because if you are having some noise issues or dropouts, you just change your color code.
I don't know how true that is, or I think it does affect it, but yeah, your radio and your hotspot has to match up in order to connect. So I thought, well, it's a good idea just to ask you if we're doing the right thing. Back to you from VK3DAM.
Yeah, think of a color code as a PL tone for DMR. So just like Fusion has DGIDs, well, DMR has color codes. So you need to, especially with repeaters, this is really important with repeaters, not so much as hotspots. I actually used to use color code 1, and I switched to color code 2 because my hotspot defaulted to color code 2. That's what it said. So I decided to use that one, but it worked equally as well when I used CC1 instead of CC2. So, and it took my signal either way with a hotspot, so it wasn't a big deal with my hotspot. I think it pretty much ignored it, whatever color code I put in when it's regarding a hotspot. So I don't think it really matters, but it does really matter on a repeater. And how do you find out what the color code is? You gotta go find out who owns the repeater. You gotta go find out if a club owns it or what entity put out that repeater. So there's clues to do that. I just find out who owns it. Usually I find out the club who brought that repeater up. And then I'll find out who to contact for the correct color code. And I use Brandmeister a lot to find out what the color code is. And that's regarding Brandmeister repeaters. So, alright. Alright, I'm just looking and see if what verbiage we have in the chat room. So if you're listening and want to come into our chat room, it's ham.live, ham.live. And I just checked in Bruce, BK4EMT. I saw you check in, and KF0LPT, Josh, and ZL2, Bravo Kazulu. We got you guys all checked in. Hey, Chris, I'm going to pass it over to you. It's getting really cold out here. The sun went down, and it gets really hot in the South Utah desert, but at night, it gets pretty breezy, so I'm going to go get a jacket. Over to you. Okay. That's another item that I discovered this week. Actually, I didn't do it. It was discovered by Brian, W1BKW. Thank you, Brian. It didn't happen to a whole bunch of people, but it did happen to 3 or 4 where, we're referring to WPSD, DMR, and you would set certain talk groups as your static talk groups, and they now have sliders to turn them on or off. And the little sliders would not stay engaged. You turn them on, go to the front page, come back, and they'd be turned off. And one of my friends, Michael, M2BEC, had that problem, and we ended up just totally redoing everything. And it worked fine because we did get a new API. That was what it was. Brian discovered that it was a corrupt API key. Bizarre behavior, simple fix. Thanks for figuring that one out, Brian. That was a good one. Hasn't been a lot of people, but 3 or 4 had that issue. It just was really weird. You try to set your static talk group on, and it would not stay. And all it was a bad API key. Wow. Alright. Let me drop it for a second to reset. This is KB2. Alright. Well, what were we talking about? Radio IDs, Brian? Oh, okay. I think we're going to be talking about hotspots tonight anyhow. And it's good that we were already discussing them, because that's, pretty much we were going to go that way today, and some, practical tips. And, I also think that there are people out there that might have some interesting tips for hotspots. So if you've ever listened to me talk about hotspots, almost every week you hear me say, make a backup. Make backup. Once you have a backup, you'll have to do a new image on your card. All you do is drop that backup in a fresh image on the SD card, throw it in the hotspot, and you're done. All the programming is there. The only thing I found out when you do that is you have to select a profile. It doesn't pick any particular profile when you restore it like that. But that's my tip, and you've probably heard me say it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 times again. It will save you in the end. Make a backup. Speaking of which, if you have multiple hotspots, let me reset. When you have multiple hotspots, like I do, and I know a number of us do, it's always good to individualize them so you can tell the difference, not only on your network, but in the restore file. On your configuration page, and I'm using WPSD, right at the very top, where it says host name. You put something special in there as the host name. And when you save your file, that name will appear along with a date that you saved it as the name of that saved file. So there won't be any confusion. So I like my biggest, fanciest hotspot was Frankenpie. So I changed that one to Frank. So I know which one to restore. At any time I've ever had a problem, bad SD card, boom, toss that back in there. It even restores the networking information. And, what do we got here, Bucky? Looks like he's got something up his sleeve. We've been talking about hotspot tips, Bucky, but over to you, see what you got. W0SUN from KB2IDX. Yeah, a couple of things. I've been, I caught up with what's being said in the chat room. And if you'd like to join us in the chat room, it's ham.live. And we've added a few people. N2BOC, KE0YAK, KE0SMR, and N1UKJ. Welcome, everybody. And that brought us up to 47. I noticed that, Vale, W0KVZ, he cracked me up. Anyway, but this is true, so you have to read it in the chat room. Connect Systems today reduced the price of the CS7000 Plus from they said it's on sale. $499 down to $299. So there you go. If you wanted M17/DMR radio, CSI or CS7000 plus, that's a pretty good deal. And I put a picture of that into the chat room. So there you go. Let me pause here just a second. Okay, and I am here in southern Utah right now in a town called Cedar City, and I am sitting outside. So, and I got a jacket on, which is much better. So, and I do get interruptions from time to time. I got dogs here and grandkids and people coming by. So, please, if I disappear for a little bit, I'll be back. Anyway, one thing I want to mention is how do you get the configuration when you decide to connect with a repeater? So there's different strategies to find out about the repeater that you want to connect to. So let's say I found a repeater that's a DMR repeater and it's on Brandmeister, or at least I think it's on Brandmeister. So I'm hearing communications, and how do I find out more information if I want to connect to that repeater? And so there are different strategies I like to do. Is I go to Repeater Book, and Repeater Book, if you search on the location where you want to connect to, a lot of times they'll have the information on the repeater in Repeater Book. And that's posted most of the time by the owner of the repeater itself. And not always do they put it in there, and sometimes they put it in there. Sometimes other people put it in there and they discover it. They could be wrong. So it's not 100% accurate. But that's where I go to start. Okay, second thing, I like to go to brandmeister.network. And since I'm in I'm in Colorado, the 4-digit talk group for Colorado is 3108. And this is on Brandmeister. And a lot of repeaters on Brandmeister were connected to Brandmeister back in the day when 3108 was the 6-digit, that was part of the 6-digit code that the repeater got assigned to. So that's another place you can get to. If I type in 3108 and search on the repeater category, I'll find a whole list of stuff, and a lot of those things are repeaters, and especially the ones that say Motorola. You can't trust what says MMDVM because they may or may not be repeaters. They could be hotspots. But when it comes to Motorola, you can get a lot of information there. Click on what you think is a repeater. So I do a cross-check with Repeater Book, with Brandmeister, and in the final place, and thank you, I think it was Brian, for putting in, just go to Radio ID. That's what Brian W1BKW said. Go to Radio ID and you can search up on repeaters there. Get information there. So then you get information on how much the wattage, what the card codes are, what the static talk groups are on that repeater. You get a whole bunch of information. If you cross-reference all that information, especially with Brandmeister network, you can get a lot of information that way. Anything else? Anybody have any comments or questions for that? Please come now with your call sign.
Yeah, Kilo Bravo 1, Papa Zulu Sierra, with a comment.
Alright, Kilo Bravo 1, Papa Zulu Sierra. Go ahead. Yeah, a lot of times I've used repeater book and it's been wrong. I live in New England, so most of the repeaters are on New England repeater directory online. But those sometimes are wrong, and well, a lot of times I'll just go there to get the club call sign. A lot of times the web page for the club is the call sign, or the call signs in the web address. And so I'll do a Google search for that call sign, and most of the time I'll get the website for the actual club that puts that repeater on the air, and most of the time that information, the most accurate information is there. That's how I've done it. And I just want to comment also on the STM 32 there. I just started doing DMR this year, at the beginning of the year, and all the boards that I bought, the MMDVM boards, the actual instructions say to use that driver. And that kind of threw me for a loop when they removed it, because I'm like, well, the instructions say to use it. I was actually talking to Chip, and Chip says, well, the instructions are wrong. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, thought that was pretty funny. Anyways, back to net control. All right. Hey, thank you. Good information there. Yeah, there's all these different strategies to find out the repeater. And the call sign, and then look that up, and a lot of times you can track it down to the club. It's a club call, or even if it isn't a club call, the person will have that on their biography on the QRZ page. If you can search on the QRZ page, you can see a link to the club. I've done that too. I've been pretty good at tracking repeaters down and finding out what belongs to what. I remember though when somebody was really confused about repeaters, even though it was a DMR repeater, it's not always connected to Brandmeister. It can be connected to other networks out there. So it's not always a Brandmeister repeater. So just keep that in mind. All right, QB1PVS, thanks a lot. That was good stuff. Good comments. I'm just going to step away just for a second. I'll be right back. Passing it over to KB2IDX. I'm going to let you take over the net here just for maybe 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay. Well, this is actually a pretty good point where anyone who might have their own other, like Bob is, might have their own little trick or time saver using hotspots. Anything that you do that would like to share with other people, there's a great opportunity to let us know what you did. This is KV2IDX. Please go now. Kilo Bravo 8 Echo Mike Delta, I need some clarification. Here's Zulu Lima 2 Bravo Echo Zulu with a comment regarding profiles on WPSD. Okay, we got two gentlemen. Larry, you were first. Paul, we got you second. Glad you're going to do that. I was thinking about that myself, so let's go to Larry first. My good friend Larry, 88EMD, 82IDX. What can we clarify for you, sir? You're talking about that STM32. Is that only for WSPD, or is that for Pi-Star also? I have a friend who likes to tinker, and he's forever changing his hotspots. He's got dual band, he's got single, and now none of them work. Is that new way to add it to Pi-Star has to be something else? And does WPSD have to be something else? I know it's not new to you, but I'm confused. As I normally are. TBADMD. Well, it depends on how long it's been that way. They have made a lot of changes. And if he didn't make a couple of them, they might stop working. But there could be other reasons that they stop working too, like for instance, maybe he had an old DMR ID when they changed over to get rid of the ones that started with 1. But more directly to your question, the STM32 was a made-up generic driver. It never really existed, and that's why those vendors told you to use it, because it was easier than creating a product with a very specific driver. So what I'm getting at is that it did happen. It should have happened to Pi-Star as well as WPSD. I don't have one on Pi-Star right now, but as far as I've heard, I believe they made the changes there as well to more appropriately address specific ports. So, if your friend is at a point where they can't figure out what to do, well, share my email. I'll be glad to help them. Okay, Chris, he's just hard to find. He's so busy, but I'm afraid he's going to get discouraged. And his number is after my number, and so on and so forth on the Grandmeister numbers. So I know it's 31 something. But you're saying both of them now. If I bought a brand new single board off of the eBay or wherever, I'd have to no longer use STM32. I'd have to find out which one it is, I guess. And if I have a band or whatever with the WPSD, I'd have to find out which modem that is. Could be the same modem, actually. TBADMD. Thanks, Chris. I'll let you get on with the net. Okay, Larry. Well, it should not be a point that would make you throw the thing away. It does not have to be that precise, but that's why they did it, to make them the ones that are precise. Most of us are getting the inexpensive Chinese-made ones that don't really have a specific driver. That's why they used to tell us to use that generic one. Now, there is a generic one down there that they added, very bottom of the list. I imagine that would work. And I'll give it a try. Later, but not right now. But thank you, Larry. Oh, there's another idea, Larry. Why don't you have your friend throw his in the package with yours and have him pay the shipping? Kidding. Anyway, let's go to Paul, ZL2, Bravo, Echo, Zulu, who wants to talk about profiles. Over to you, Paul. Let it rip. KB2IDX. Yeah, KB2IDX is ZL2BZ. Yeah, very good to hear, Chris. Yes, well, I'd like to mention profiles and the WPSD. They only exist there, unfortunately, so if you're not running WPSD, you can, and running PyStar, you can shut down and listen later. Anyway, profiles. It's one of the options that's first in the menu up the top there, just under your call sign. It's called Profiles, and if you click on that, it will launch the Profile Manager. The Profile Manager has two boxes, one on the right and one on the left. The one on the right is for when you enter a profile name. So you've got to name your profiles. So you can name them, you know, for example, Brandmeister 31088 or something like that, or you know, XLX 45303 Delta or something like that. So, you know, there's plenty of things there. The only thing with the naming convention is that that it's limited to spaces between the words. So you can't put hyphens or dashes or full stops or commas in there. You can only just separate the words in the profile name with the spaces. And once you enter the profile name, you click the Save Profile button on the to the right of that particular box. Anyway, that's profile. Save the profile, and then once you save that profile, you can go across to the left-hand side and select the profile. So the big white box there, you click on that, you scroll to your profile, you click on the profile, so the name occupies the white box, then you click the switch to profiles, and about 20 to 30 seconds later, that profile will be implemented. Now, one of the good things about profiles is that you can save profiles for DMR, you can save profiles for D-Star, and you can also save profiles for YSF. So if you've got a specific profile for a specific mode, you can save it as a profile, and when that profile is recalled, all the mode settings come back, and away they go. Anyway, I'll take a break and see if there's anything further you want to explain there, Chris. Over. Well, you've got it pretty good in there. The one thing I would add would be that should you make any changes to those profiles, don't forget to save it again. And if you have to restore from an old configuration after the restoration is over, you have to go and select a particular profile. Because it doesn't come up automatically in a profile when you restore it. But make sure you save changes that you like to those profiles. Anything else, Paul? Back to you. You do IDX. Yeah, KB2IDX and L2BZ. Yeah, well, one of the other things in the middle of the screen is called Quick Save. Quick Save is a great feature. When you make a change to a profile, for example, you change the talk group or you change the server, and you want to save that over top of the existing profile that you have, there's a Quick Save button, and that's really good for doing that. So that's the only comment I've got regarding that. But switching to profiles is very quick and easy.
And you can have profiles for various networks, profiles for various servers, and lots of different profiles. I've got lots of XLX profiles, I've got lots of Brandmaster profiles, and also I've got lots of other networks like the Amcom network profiles as well. So I normally don't try to run lots of profiles in the DMR manager. I normally just switch the profiles using, just set the thing up for an individual profile and switch over to that profile and use that exclusively. So that's my comment on that. Back to you, Chris. KB2IDX and L2BZ. Profiles have turned out to be very useful, and especially if you like to try different things. Okay, so tonight our topic is best practices for hotspots, and we've had a few shared. Anybody else have anything out there they would like to share with us? Best practices, secrets, tricks. Please come now with your call sign. AB2IDX. KB2IDX, AC4ZYC, checking in from Orlando. Hello, Chris. Alright, KC4ZYC. I'm putting that in, logging you in, KC4ZYC. Gotcha. Orlando. Okay. Howard. How are you this evening? And welcome aboard. You said you're just checking in. Would you like to share anything about hotspots or anything like that? Over to you. Hey there, Chris. You probably don't recognize me since I check in so infrequently, but I've checked into this note before, and hello to Bucky out there in Colorado. Well, I happen to have a Raspberry Pi 4B hotspot. I love it. It was given to a friend of mine. It was given to me by a friend of mine as a Christmas present, I'd say maybe a couple of years ago or so. I've enjoyed it ever since. And runs the WPSD software using the Bookworm Linux package on there, and it's working great so far. I love the profile section on this thing. I've got a lot of different presets, including this one, and just recently added the New Mexico YSF reflector, the US NM505 reflector, which I added that on earlier tonight. And I find that if I go to the configuration tab on the dashboard and then use the pull down menu and pull down what I want and then save it and then create my profile, that tends to help out. Another thing I've done which helps me out is I recently discovered how to tweak the bit error rate and get it down to a really low level. I'm going to go to the advanced section there, and I can't do it while I'm talking, otherwise I goof things up, but there is a way to change the bit error rate, and you can test your audio to determine what your bit error rate is, and you can go up and down in frequency, and we'll tell you what it thinks the good offset is. So I kind of went under the hood in the settings. Let me reset here. There we go. KC4ZYC. I kind of went under the hood in the settings in the advanced tab. And I went under MMDVM host. And right before the settings for DMR, there's a TX offset and an RX offset. and set them to what I wanted to and saved it. And did that with pretty much every profile. So every profile I go into the advanced tab and check the MMDB on host settings and make sure they're set right. And then just hit quick save to make sure it saves the profile of my choice. And so far so good. I managed to, with all the profiles I've got, I managed to get the bit error rate down to 0.2%. So very pleased about that. And it took a little bit of trial and error in order to get it right. But persistence definitely paid off. I'm very, very happy with it. Back over to you, Chris, KB2IDX, and that KC4 is what I say.
Yeah, that's a good one. Checking the bit error rate. I usually don't check it unless I'm having a problem, but you're right. You do need to save it, which is why I make the changes right from the bit error rate test area and save it there, and then I'll go, just like you said, to the profile, make sure it's right. And Jeff, AE5ME, who was helping us with the M17 stuff, said, you should even reboot it and make sure it's saved. But I'm sorry, I'm too impatient for that. But thank you for that, and thanks for popping in again. I probably would remember you if I had much of a memory left. And another good tip comes from Phil, K5RUN, in the chat room. Let me reset. You have to be a little cautious of the CPU temperature on your dashboard. For up to the 4B, they should run around 40C, which is 104 degrees. They can go up higher than that when you're doing a lot of things, like rebooting a lot. But just make sure they come back down. We had a discussion last week on GPIO fans, which are recommended, and we had one person who had a failure on theirs. Found out it was the reason the whole hotspot wasn't working. You took it out and everything worked fine. But I haven't had that happen myself, luckily. I usually have they don't have bearings in them, they have bushings. I usually have them start to wear, and then it starts making noise. But like he said, a cheap USB fan that plugs into a USB port type $5 fan, put it on the counter and just let it blow air past it. All it needs is to have air pass through it. And as I mentioned last week, that IC chip directly below it on most of these hotspots is the SD card. And that heat will not be good. Even though hot air rises, it's still going to get hot down there. So yeah, I have a couple of those, but they all have GPIO fans on. And the Pi 5, attention Jared, which you probably already found out, those run around 50C normal operating temperature. Let me reset for the timer. So they have actually, when they redesigned the board, they put a connector on the board for a special fan. You no longer have to get power for fan from the GPIO. So on the Pi 5, there's a nice little plug, and you have a special fan that you get 4 to 5.5, and you don't put one together without it. They just get too hot. Anyway, that's what we got for now, and I would like to pass it back to my partner Bucky and see what he's got for us, or what he wants to do. Bucky, I'll send it back over to you. W0SUN 82IDX, and then it's your turn, my friend. Alright, thanks you guys. Alright, good comments everybody. So, one thing I like to do, and I just take a step back, and I did this when I was in IT, especially when my wife was, when we were at dinner, and I was with other IT people, the wives were really bored because it seemed like we were speaking a different language with a bunch of acronyms, and ham radio is the same way. So, you hear all these acronyms all the time. GPIO fan. And just GPIO is an acronym, especially with Raspberry Pis, it stands for General Purpose Input Output. GPIO. And that's simply a bunch of pins or little places on the Raspberry Pi board where you can set up just general purpose anything. You can put anything, and that's where you put the hat, that's where you put all kinds of, there's hundreds and hundreds of things you can do with a Raspberry Pi. So GPIO is general purpose input output, and Pi-Star uses those pins for all kinds of stuff, not just fans, for everything. So just in case anybody was wondering, GPIO. So just wanted to mention that. And let me see if we can get up to date with call signs here. Let me reset. Okay, I've got KQ1USA, KB1PZS, W1VAN, KC4Z White Charlie, let me say that again, KC4ZYC, WA2NYY. Alright, thanks everybody for checking in. Great, we're up to 52. Thank you everybody. Alright, other GB1PZS with another comment. Just the next time, you almost timed out, man. That was very close. Sorry. Forgot where I was. I totally lost track. Get me back in line there, Bucky. What did you want me to do? I'm sorry. I was distracted. Well, goodness me. I guess we can get it back and see if you try again, because it really, totally, I'll have to admit it right here on the air. I was distracted. Didn't know what you wanted me to do. Happens to the best of us. But usually me. KB2IDX. Losing nature? Difficulties. Sorry, I couldn't get back to you right away. So, lucky me. I also saw Irwin key up briefly, so... But I was talking about Valena Edger. So that's the only one that I've ever used. I've never had a problem, and I've always used that. But lately you've been having problems. And you used that one as well as other image creators. So I was just going to say, what kind of issues have you been having, and what other image creator do you use? Over to you. AB2IDX from W0SUN. And I recognized VK3EAN. I saw your call sign show up, so we'll get to you in just a second. Over to Chris. Yeah. Back on track. Yes, I have had multiple errors. Constantly errors with Valena Etcher. It's been driving me crazy. I tried a newer version and it worked once, and then the second and third and fourth times it failed. I tried it on a different computer, worked fine once or twice, and then started failing all the time. I got tired of that. And, thank you, Andrew. That's exactly what I was about to do. I have switched to Rufus. R-U-F-U-S. Rufus. It's pretty much a blind copy. You can have it verify, but it just does it. And it's just much simpler. I've also used I've used the Raspberry Pi imager, which their latest version is not that bad. I would skip any of the personalizations that they offer for you to do, like putting in your Wi-Fi info and stuff. Don't do that. It's all in your save file. You don't want them putting that info in there. So, there's a good picture of, thank you, Paul, of what the GPIO is. I haven't been using Valena. But it was version even. I have Windows 11 Pro, and it's the latest version, and it's still, I'll try reinstalling it, didn't work. So, I'm going to ask, before I time out, if anyone else out there has noticed the same kind of problem with Valena Etcher, because I'm curious. This is KB2IDX, let me know. Yeah, KB1TZS with a comment. Yeah, VK3EAN. Alright. Recognize both of you. 81VZS, VK3 Irwin. Alright, let's go with Bob first. Let's see what you got, Bob, and we'll catch you second, Irwin. 81VZS, from KV2IDX, please come with your comment.
Yeah. Well, I run Linux on all my machines, and for the software that I need to run on Windows, I run on a virtual machine on Linux. But believe it, I run the Linux version of it, and I've never had a problem with it. I've been using it. The same installation since the beginning of the year. So I don't know if it's something to do with the Microsoft version or maybe Microsoft updates that are cause of that. So just wanted to mention that because you asked. And one other thing I wanted to put out there is I found through talking with people that I talk to a lot on DMR, I found that that there is an option in WPSD, and I think it's also in PyStar, to use radio commands to do things like shut down your hotspot and reboot your hotspot. Like you can also shut down services or restart services, and I found that very, very helpful. And I do have, my buttons working on the touchscreen for reboot and power off, but I found that it's only on the inactive, on most layouts, it's only on the inactive screen. And when the screen is active, like when somebody's talking, I don't have access to the inactive screen. So I have to, turn on the computer and log into my dashboard and then shut it down that way anyways. Whereas with the radio commands, I don't have to do all that. Anyways, that's all I wanted to put out there, and back to you, KV2 IDX, KV1 TSUS.
Yeah. The radio commands do work. I have done them before. I think there's a total of 4, but they do work. And so that's for some situations that would probably be perfect. Which is why they do it. Okay, good point. Thank you. Let's go over to Tomorrowland and speak to Irwin again. Our good friend, V8N. Irwin, what's happening? What you got? KV2 IDX. KV2 IDX with the W0S0M VK3EAN. I want to help everybody with the question that you put forward there, Chris, because I had issues with Berliner Extra. Everybody swears by Berliner Extra. Yes, it's a good system, Berliner, but the problem that I've had for over a year with Berliner Extra is it comes with bloat, and it comes with ads, and it comes with all the rubbish. When I say this, I've used Berliner Extra. When you get to the end of the process of doing your card, it says failed. I hear you. It does say failed, because of all the problems that it has. The only nice thing about Berliner Extra is that you don't have to unzip any file when you're using it to
put your configuration onto the SD card. But what I do suggest strongly, and I've used this time and time again, and it works very well, listen to me very carefully guys, is Raspberry Pi Imager. When you download, which I think the latest version is 1.9.6, you'll see on Raspberry Pi Imager, you've got 3 tabs. And now listen very carefully what I'm going to say when you are loading your image. I think I'm going to time out here. So let me just give a quick break because I've set all my full grips to 165 seconds. Okay, what I do suggest, once you've loaded Raspberry Pi Imager, your very first tab to the left, you click on that and click on no filtering, and I mean absolutely no filtering, which is the very first option. If you are going to use filtering, you are going to mess up the configuration of what you are using. Do not use filtering. The second tab in the middle of that is you're searching for your image on your computer. So you click that tab and then you scroll right down to the bottom and you use custom. You make sure it is custom. And then you search on your computer for your configuration. But you have to, prior to all of this, your image that you are using, with WPSD you can use it straight off what it is, but with PyStar it is all zipped, so you have to unzip that file. You have to unzip it onto your computer first, before you can use it. So use that file, and the very last tab on the right hand side is to configure your SD card. So you click that and then everything gets loaded onto your SD card. And then it verifies it and it has always worked. Back to you there, Chris, KB2, IDX, VK3, EAM. Well, thank you, everyone. It was a good tip. Thank you for walking us through that. I have, it is the latest version, is 1.9.6. I've had fair success with it as well. I just don't recommend using the customization part where it lets you put in your Wi-Fi info and stuff, because that's going to be in your save file. And if you're going to start a new one out, you're just going to put your Wi-Fi info in anyhow, and I don't want it in by their constraints. I want my own. But other than that, it works. But now, see, the thing with Rufus, you pick your image, you put your card in, and in 2.5 to 3 minutes it's done. You just click on go. You don't have to select anything. It just puts whatever you ask it to. You can do a verify with it, which is probably recommended, but I'm too impatient.